Now, unless you're some sort of super special productivity unicorn, I am willing to bet that the hardest things for you to get done on your list are the boring things, the tedious things, the things where you look at it and there's just never, ever going to be a time in your life when you say, yep, that's how I want to spend the next 15 minutes, half an hour, etc. All that boring shit. Well, in today's episode, we're going to talk about a lot of different ways to help you get that boring shit done because sometimes it needs doing. Welcome to the Do More, Stress Less podcast. I'm your host, Alexis Hasselberger, a time management and productivity coach. In every episode, I give you actionable, practical tips to help you learn to use your time in a way that feels good to you every day. No more hustling, scrambling, or struggling to keep your head above water. So let's dive in, and soon enough, you'll be doing more and stressing less. You, me, and everyone I know, we all have boring shit on our to-do list that has to be done. And you know who likes doing the boring shit? No one. No one likes doing the boring shit. And yet, we often have a lot of boring shit that needs doing. And we all have to-do lists that have more on them than we can ever hope to accomplish. And that's okay. But it makes it even harder to prioritize the boring shit. And that boring shit isn't going to magically disappear. Now, as a person with ADHD, the boring shit is absolutely the hardest stuff for me to get done. I cannot count the number of people who have asked me, ugh, how can I make myself do the boring shit? So I thought it's high time I give you some examples of some strategies that you can use to get the boring shit done. But first, let me let you in on a little secret. So much of the stuff that really works to help you get things done isn't about becoming a better person or becoming a more disciplined person. In fact, it's just mental trickery. That's it. We've got to trick ourselves into doing the thing. Heck, we've got to trick ourselves into wanting to do the thing in the first place. And there's nothing wrong with that. And wanting to do the boring thing is no more of a morally correct stance than tricking yourself into doing the boring thing. So, what are these strategies that I'm about to share? Number one, make it less boring. Boring stuff doesn't lend itself well to dopamine, but there are things you can do to increase dopamine. See if you can make it into a game. Add some background entertainment. Watch TV while you're folding laundry or listen to a podcast while you're doing dishes. I know I find that sometimes I start out putting in a podcast to do some boring thing, and then I'm enjoying the podcast or the audiobook or whatever it is so much that I just keep going to other boring chores because I just want to keep listening. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. You could turn it into a race against yourself. How fast and accurately can you get through the boring shit? Or you could give yourself a prize. Prizes are fun, so make it less boring. Number two, make it easy to get started. You want to turn that boring stuff into low-hanging fruit. You want to ask yourself, what's the teensiest, tiniest strategy that I could take to get started with this thing? What's the teeniest little step I could do to move this thing forward? Stuff that goes quickly is less boring. Now, number three, contain it. Set a timer or tell yourself that you only have to do the boring shit for 10 minutes or 5 minutes or even 1 minute. You'll probably keep going after the timer goes off, but if not, well, you did some boring shit. Good for you. You could also set a weekly time, maybe 30 minutes, put it on your calendar, do the boring shit for that amount of time on your schedule, and then tell yourself you don't have to do any more of it until the end of the week or the next week, right? I typically actually do this on Mondays. Monday, I don't know, is the worst day of the week, right? It's the day that you have to move from your weekend of enjoyment to the work week. And even though I love what I do, I'd still rather be on the weekend. So I just do this on Monday afternoons, late evenings. Number four, outsource it or delegate it. Now, does all this boring shit really need to be done by you? No? Well, then find someone else to do it, right? Delegate it to a direct report, delegate it to your kids, share the load with your partner or spouse if you have one. Pay someone to do it if that's in your budget. There is an important distinction between wanting to do something and wanting it to be done. So if it's the latter, then outsourcing or delegating may be your best option. How about number five, automating it? right? You do not have to be super tech savvy to add automation to your life. Paying bills, it's boring, but I bet you have access to automatic bill pay, right? You could automate it. Maybe you have data entry, that kind of thing to do. I bet you could set up a Zap via Zapier, which is a tool that just allows you to connect one app to another thing, two different systems to different things. Or if you're a little more tech savvy, you could do this through automation using a tool like Pipedream. Now, how about number 6? Do this with a friend, right? Get the boring stuff done with somebody else. Do you have some boring shit that needs to get done in real life? Well, invite a friend over and do your boring shit together while enjoying each other's company. Body double, right? Ask someone in your household to sit next to you while you do the boring thing. I am often sitting in the living room while my son is doing the dishes because he has asked me to just sit there. It's somehow easier to do. It's called body doubling. The other person, they can do whatever they want while they're sitting there. They're just sitting there. Or maybe you have some boring shit that you need to do virtually from your computer. Well, there are options there too. So there's tools like FocusMate. This is a service where you can get a virtual body double. I believe you can do 3 sessions a week for free. Or get on Zoom with a friend or a colleague, share what you're going to do during the next hour, then go on mute and do that thing. Get on at the end of it and tell each other what you did. You can also get some accountability. So sometimes with the boring stuff, we just need someone else outside of us to be aware of it so that we can tell them that we did it. So tell someone that you're going to do it and that you're going to confirm with them when you did it, right? If you're someone for whom outside accountability helps, try that. Or there's all sorts of accountability apps out there. Some of them where you put a little money on the line, like Stick, Stick. And then use any tool that you have at your disposal, right? So if you have a bunch of boring shit to do and you know that it's easier for you if you do XYZ, use whatever that is, no matter what it is, right? If you have strategies that have reliably worked for you in the past, well, go ahead and use those. There's no shame, no matter what the situation is, no matter what the tool is, no matter what the strategy is. If it's worked for you in the past, try it now and see if it will help you to get that boring shit done. Now, don't gatekeep your strategies from me. I want you to share them with me. So if you have some strategies that really work well for you to get that boring shit done, and I didn't mention them here today, can you please email me and tell me what they are? I would love to hear from you. And that's a wrap on today's episode of the Do More, Stress Less podcast. If you found today's episode helpful, please share it with somebody who could use a little less stress in their life. And make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're excited to take action or you need a little extra support, check out the free resources available on my website or schedule a free consultation call with me. You can do both of these at alexishasselberger.com. See you next time.